Hey everybody, this is a quick guide to Septoria, one of the most common diseases that we see today in outdoor field growing, especially east of the Mississippi, with Aquaponics. What is Septoria? Septoria is a fungal disease that attacks your plants, leaving brown necrotic spots all over the plant, eventually causing secondary infection and killing the plant entirely. It's most common in outdoor grows when you have very wet conditions, especially if you have a lot of rain, a week or two or more of rain, prolonged wet periods of more than 72 hours, followed by high heat. That seems to be the primary cause of sporulation, where the mold goes to spores and then spreads through the air to a new area. It can be difficult to detect early on. If you have, especially if you haven't seen it before, you might not realize how dangerous it is until it's really torn through your, halfway through the grow. There are thousands of different species of Septoria, and a couple of different species have been already documented in cannabis, and I'm sure there's going to be more species as we grow in more and more areas at large scale outdoors. So keep an eye out for it and make sure you're maintaining your soil microbial health to help defend against it. What causes septoria? So just like we were talking about in the last slide, septoria is generally caused by prolonged periods of rain, wetness, or high humidity. High, amounts of fog can also cause it as well. And then, above 75 or 80 degrees typically, for more than 2 or 3 days at a time, usually 4 or 5 days at a time, really can cause a huge boom in spores. It's propagated locally in your environment. It's going to come off of the local fields and forests and everything else in the area. It is a native species to North America, so it's not, anything that's cannabis specific, but it is, definitely a disease that is, prevalent inside and outside of your grow. Generally, the result of poor soil quality. If you have a really healthy soil microbial biology, you tend to have much fewer issues with septoria than if you have a really poor quality soil with a low amount of soil biodiversity, then you're going to be much more susceptible to things like septoria. Proper microbial inoculants is key to prevention. Again, just like we're talking about, making sure you're dosing your IMOs and your other good microbes is going to help prevent that. So here you can see the spotting early on, right here and here. This is very early on in infection. Again, more early spotting here and here. And then this is slightly more advanced when it's had time to kind of really take off a little bit, get further established in the plant. You can see the older spots are starting to grow in size and become more and more necrotic. Here's an example of what your plant looks like kind of top to bottom. You can see it's much more heavy in the lower portion of the plant where it's had longer to establish versus the top part of the plant. It'll start off on your lowest leaves and they'll look just like this, it's polka dotted, and then you spread it all the way up to the top of the plant and can really tear through the plant before, again, you really realize it. Usually you look at it and go, oh, well, the plant got some water droplets on it and it just got sunburned, or maybe someone miswatered. But that's not at all the case. It's actually septoria. Again, another great example of early infection. This is about mid-infection before it's really, really tearing through the plant. Here's a more of a close-up of the spotting on septoria. You can see the spotting and then the secondary infection starting to take hold. You can see some leaf miners as well. Definitely keep an eye out for that. It seems to also kind of radiate out from the areas that they attack. So, who knows if that's vectoring it or not, but certainly is something that you do see in some of the observations. All right, and if you want more information, you can check me out at Aquaponics, Gmail, aquaponics.com, True Aquaponics, and apmjclass.com for online classes. Thanks a lot. And check out the Growing with Fishes podcast on your favorite podcast app. Take it easy.